Hello and welcome to Surveyor Says, the podcast from the National Society of Professional Surveyors. Each week, we bring you fascinating guests that are involved in the profession of surveying. My name is Tim Burch, and I'm the Executive Director for the National Society of Professional Surveyors and your host for the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast on most of your favorite streaming platforms, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. For more information about the podcast and NSPS, please visit our website, nsps.us.com. So, without further delay, here's our next episode of Surveyor Says, the NSPS Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Surveyor Says. This is your host, Tim Burch, and yes, once again, I am on location. We are actually in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We just wrapped up the fall business meeting, NSPS fall business meeting. And I was wandering around earlier today, and I ran across this guy, and I knew I saw the name badge, and I knew I recognized it. And I've been following this guy on LinkedIn for quite a while, and I imagine probably you have too, that this guy's led a fascinating life, and he's not very old, and it's just amazing what he's done. John Brady, I appreciate you taking time to sit and have a chat with me. But
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell us about, tell us who you are, who you work for, what is life like in Alaska, surveying in Alaska?
Yeah. So, thank you again, Tim. It's good to be here. This is my first time being at a NSPS meeting, so that's been fascinating and really interesting. And it's really, I got to give a shout out to everybody here because they've been very welcoming. And I'm amazed at the progress that everybody's making in the various arenas that they're working on, all these committees and stuff. That's very hopeful for, especially us in Alaska, where we've struggled since COVID to get our organization back on its feet and moving into things. So that's been really encouraging. So I've enjoyed being here. I appreciate both John Roeder, our state director, recommending to our state board and my state board for sending me here because
that's excellent.
That's been great. So
well, it's great that you've got the support of your state board as well. That's great. I didn't realize that. Kudos to the Alaska board for doing that.
Yeah, so they've been great, and I served on the board for a while there, and I got off when John got on. So I know most of those folks, which is good. And yeah, it's a small community in Alaska, big state, lots of land, but there's not a lot of people, and the surveying community has been smaller. So
are you native to Alaska, or did you just
born and raised? Yeah,
born and raised. Okay, excellent.
So my folks actually are from Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I got here a little early, say hi to some family, and
nice.
Yeah, so they've been there since the '80s, and I love it up there, and so it's a really cool place to survey. I'll go back and answer the other question. I'm running my own business now, full-time. I've been doing it part-time for the last few years. There's a story behind how that started, but we don't need to get into it now. But I love doing that, and it's been an interesting summer trying to just go out and find the work and make sure things can happen. And I've got some new adventure stories from surveying this summer already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's never a dull moment.
I was just going to say, it's Alaska. It can't be dull.
No, it can't. It can be in the wintertime.
Well, that's true.
It can be cold and dark and depressive and just very kind of just want to hunker in. But then you get out and it's minus 30 degrees and it's a foot of snow. And you're taping hand warmers to your data collector so that the battery stays going. And it's like, wow, the challenges and stuff, it's fun, but it is, and if you can dress for it, it's pretty good. So,
all right, well, let's back up, and how did you get into surveying?
Yeah, so I'm the generation where go to college, figure out what you want to do, and worst advice ever. I've come from a family of educators and engineers, although my mother's an accountant, but so there's some good folks in the family. So I was going to school as a civil engineer major at University of Alaska Fairbanks, my hometown, and I couldn't stand civil engineering, to be honest. But you have to take your survey intro class as part of the curriculum. And I was married young. My wife convinced me to change my major because I was miserable. And I'm sitting here going, well, I got to provide for family, so I need to stick with this. And she goes, no. You're going to be miserable all our lives. Let's try and find something you might actually enjoy. And I liked the survey class that I took. Great lab instructor, PLS, by the name of Scott Sexton.
Okay.
From DOT, did the lab stuff, and he was really fun to be with and just kind of show us how you actually use the equipment. Pulling a chain and pulling out total stations, and no GPS during that lab. It was
Sure.
Late 2000s, and so GPS was being used commercially, but not in the college program for just an intro to surveying class.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Getting you the basics.
Getting the basics. And I go, well, we got to go to Anchorage for her degree, so what do they offer? And I saw geomatics, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And so signed up for that, and with that, I applied to every survey firm in town in Fairbanks because we weren't going to move till the school year. And I got to work for a gentleman named Pat Callan, who has been very involved in various things over the years. He passed away during the COVID times.
Oh, okay.
Still running his shop. So I got to work for him for a summer, very grateful, and got to say, oh yeah, this stuff is good. And then I got into school, and every class I took was interesting for the first time, and I was like, wow, I don't actually mind being in school. So yeah, that's how I got into it, and here we are, 15 years later. So
so you rolled out of school, found a job there, and just stayed in Alaska.
Yep.
Like I said, surveying the last frontier.
Yeah. So I worked for a firm that's still in Alaska, Dowell, starting in Alaska. Now they're in the western U.S. as well. They were at that time too, and I got to go in the field with those guys and learned from party chiefs, learned from PLSs. A fun story is I was in the Fairbanks area working for them while I was still living in Anchorage, and a couple of the PLSs, the old survey manager was there, and another one, and they were in the side-by-side, and we were doing 15 miles of Aliquot-Bart boundary, and big project. And it was for Corps of Engineers, and so the specs were it had to be cleared 3 feet wide, 8 feet tall down to dirt, and either a carcinite post or some kind of monument, a carcinite post every 330 feet, and then a secondary monument every 660, and then the primaries at the corners and the section corners.
Sure.
And so a lot of work, chainsaws, all the stuff, and they say, well, we're gonna drive up to about where the next one should go. So they drive their side by side up, and they said, you need to pace it. You need to get the practice. You're a young guy. So I paced out, and I stopped 2 feet back of the side by side, and we all kind of laughed about it. And the old survey manager goes, it's because we're licensed. Yeah, we can just drive it. We don't even need to pace it anymore. It's like, oh yeah, thanks guys. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was fun.
So, I guess typically, what are you surveying up there? I mean, boundaries, topos. I mean, is it all? I mean, all shouldn't be any different than the rest of the lower 48. But I mean, what's going on up there that you're surveying?
Yeah, so it does vary. One of the things I've loved about Alaska and working for the design firms is getting to do such a wide variety of stuff. Especially in those design firms, they're doing everything from topo and right-of-way to pulling out drones and sonar, single beam. Some of them are doing multi-beam, LiDAR, interior scanning, all the stuff. Like, you get to do a wide array of things, which is really, really fascinating. Starting my own business, I've gotten to continue that, but now I also get to interact with the general landowner and general public a lot more.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Which has been a lot of fun, because now I've always enjoyed teaching and passing on and letting people understand, what it is that we're doing and how this is important. And you get to do that so much more with the general public than trying to beat through an engineer saying, hey, we don't need this. And like, no, you really do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
well, and I got to believe that, in the end of it, dealing with that and teaching the public and informing them makes you a better business person.
Yes. Yeah. So the last 3 years of working for people, I was in management. One of the things that was been challenging with Alaska is I've got a family. I got 3 kids, and my wife stays home and homeschools the kids, which is pretty common in Alaska, actually. So common that our state has had a avenue for that for 40, 50 years.
Sure.
Through also providing financial assistance with that because of all the rural communities. but it exploded during COVID, as you can imagine.
Sure.
So it's very common, but when working through it with all these design firms, I would get sent off at the drop of a hat to go wherever. And one of the challenges with working in Alaska is so much of it is inaccessible by the road system.
Oh.
You're either flying, you're taking a boat, you're ATVing, you're snowmobiling, snow machining is what we call it.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that for the bulk of my career, where they'd say, oh, well, we got a project in Barrow, or we've got a project in Galena, or we've got a project in Southeast, and you're going to be there for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
It's hard when you got a family.
It is.
But when you're a surveyor and you love being outside, it's like, well,
you go where the work is.
You go where the work is. Or I could stay in town and I could work for one of the state entities, but I'd be behind a desk often, and more than I would like. Or I could work for a small mom and pop and get laid off in the winter.
Right.
Which, with family, that's a little tough.
It is.
And so
You
here
gotta
I
have
am
security.
running my own business, because I get to go out of town now when I want to go out of town.
Right.
So.
I guess, that's one thing that intrigued me meeting you, because like I said, I've been following a lot of your stories of your adventures through all of your work. I guess, do you have a favorite task? I mean, is it big boundaries? Is it topos? Is it flying drones? Is it the boats? What is your favorite thing to do?
I really enjoy remote properties that are only accessible by riverboat.
Okay.
That's where I like to be. I love being on the rivers. I love being out in the woods, in the mountains. It's really just a fun thing to do. I don't get to do it every year. The state of Alaska Department of Natural Resources has a really fascinating program that they call the recreational remote cabin staking program. It's essentially homesteading, where they open up sections of state land for state residents to come out and stake out their property from 5 to 20 acres. And they're supposed to clear their lines, and they cut up a post, and then they'll hire a surveyor to come in behind them and actually monument. That's a lot of fun. It's a fun program to be a part of, and they're fun surveys to do. They do other surveys too that are similarly remote, but I've gotten the opportunity to do 2 of those, and those are just a lot of fun. And now that I'm on my own and doing my own stuff, I've had the opportunity to talk with private residents who have these remote parcels that weren't necessarily created in that manner, but you can only access them by floatplane or by a riverboat or whatever. And so those are just really fun, because you logistically, there's a saying that if you can do logistics in Alaska, you can do it anywhere.
Okay.
Because of how vast it is. It's also, you can get to 90% of the populated world from Anchorage International.
Sure.
So there's a lot of logistics that happens that goes through Alaska. So it's just a part of who we are as a state. And being able to do that in a survey sense of trying to figure out, okay, where are you going to sleep? Is there somebody who owns a cabin out there that you're going to stay with?
Oh, yeah.
Are you sleeping in a tent? Is there bears in the area? Do you need to have a bear fence? Do you need to have a bear guard? Is it in the winter, summer, spring? What are the hazards? Because in the summertime, you're looking at wildfire potential.
Right.
And then in the wintertime, you're looking at overflow on rivers, where the water is flowing on top of the ice as well as underneath the rivers, and you've got to cross these things. And how do you even get an ordinary high water when it's frozen? Should you? Is that ethically a good idea?
Right.
And talking with whoever it is you're working with, whether that's the state or a private client or some other commercial entity, of what is the purpose of your survey and why do you want this in these conditions?
Oh my goodness.
Or should it be better for us to wait? So another example would be, a lot of Alaska is marshy tundra, and so there are monuments that are out there that need to be recovered and are much easier to do so when it's frozen in the winter.
Right, that makes sense.
Versus going out in the summer.
Yes.
But then you've got the daylight issue and the darkness and the cold and being prepared safety-wise, all those different things that go into those more remote things. And then you're in town and you're doing stuff in town and you're chipping through ice to get to, back a curb or whatever, or you're shoveling through 3 feet of a snow burn to do that. Some people want to do that because of the way the economy works in Alaska. If they don't get this survey done now, then they won't get their project completed this summer. They'll have to wait until the following summer.
Oh, wow.
So it's very seasonal.
Yeah, you've got to be strategic on when you get stuff done.
Yep. So sometimes people
my
are willing to
goodness.
pay a premium for the surveyor to work in not the best conditions. Yeah.
But basing on timing, that's interesting.
Yep.
Now, how is, I guess, working up there, it's a lot of public land,
Yep.
sectioning things off, townships off. How does it play? I mean, how does the natives and their land holdings come into play up
That's
there?
a really good question, because Alaska's unique in that with the rest of the country. We have, I think we're down to 1 single reservation in the entire state.
Okay.
So in the 70s, there were 2 acts passed by Congress, ANILCA and ANCSA. And I'm probably going to misremember what they stand for, but you'll get the gist. Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, and I'm not even going to try ANILCA.
That's
I don't think
okay.
I'm going to get it.
That's all right.
And in this day and age, with everything you can look up and whatnot, I can find these things.
Yeah.
And I've got all my tabbed stuff from my Alaska LS exam that I still go back if I come into these issues. And so instead of having reservations, our native Alaska population, the indigenous peoples, were given corporations that have land ownership.
Okay.
And so instead of having a sovereign country, essentially, which is what more or less a reservation is, they're U.S. citizens with all the same kind of rights and whatnot, but every corporation has land holdings. And the Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Indian Affairs, works closely with that, and the CFED program actually goes into some of those things.
Okay, yes.
And it's unique to Alaska.
Okay.
I don't have to deal with it very often.
Okay, that was going to be my next question, is how prevalent is that in your work?
It depends on who you are and what you're doing. If I was able to connect with the right people with certain corporations, I could potentially be doing a lot more work in those areas.
Sure.
In fact, we've got some of those corporations have surveyors on staff that handle a lot of those things, and the coordinating of subcontracting or term contracts or so on and so forth. The I think it's the Alaska ANTHC, Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium. They have their own surveyors, and they do a lot of work with the Alaska villages and the rural communities. I believe they do some of that stuff with ANCSA and ANILCA. And they're Aliquot Park based, most of their land holdings. So Alaska is a PLSS state, so a lot of that plays into that.
Plays all into that.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But when you look at our land ownership of federal, state, and native corporations, is the vast majority of the ownership in the state.
Okay.
And so you'll look at the state ownership maps and go, well, how do you get from A to B if you're recreating usually? As a land surveyor in Alaska, we do have right of access. There's a little nuance to it. It's not like I can just go walk through anywhere.
Right. There has to be intent.
Yes, right. And I believe we have, I can't remember if it's an ethic or actual statute to notify.
Right.
And then for like the Alaska Railroad, we would have to get a permit to go into there.
Sure.
So there's different things you have to go through, but same thing with the native allotments of how these play out. And native allotments is what we call some of those land sections. And so it depends on where you are in the state, that they're divided regionally of, you're working with this corporation or that corporation. And I haven't had to deal with that a whole lot in my career. Some folks, that's all they deal with.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so, I mean, it is Alaska. It is unique.
Yep.
How about people you've worked for and mentors?
Yes.
Because I think it's an extremely specific mindset to survey up there.
Yeah.
That Can you tell us about any of your mentors that have helped you
Yes.
through this process of figuring out how to be an Alaskan surveyor?
Yeah, and not all of them are even surveyors because of the remoteness to
All
it.
right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, so obviously my father was the beginning of that, of taking me out going hunting and fishing and being outdoorsy.
There you go.
And so that was certainly played into me becoming a surveyor and loving it in Alaska. My father-in-law also, like I said, I got married young. My wife and I are high school sweethearts, so I got to be blessed with being able to recreate with both my father and father-in-law before I even married my wife.
That's nice.
Yeah. And so that was kind of the start of, well, I kind of like this being outside thing. So, and then you start going to school, and I mentioned Pat Callan earlier. He was certainly my first survey mentor, and he was a kind of crotchety old surveyor at Alaska, and he was very opinionated in a lot of ways, but I will always be very grateful for what he taught me that summer and just his continued connection. And then as I grew into being more involved with our state organization, he was the president of our local chapter that I took over from, and then he passed away while I was president. And so that was an interesting gap in our organization, but certainly Pat was my first. And then as time went on, just about every manager that I've worked for has been a mentor in some way.
Good.
And
that's good to hear.
I've been very blessed to work, and this one thing that I've appreciated, I've worked under or with, before I went out on my own, I believe 15 to 20 different PLSs. And that's been wonderful. And some of them continue to be, and I've made more since going out on my own. I start calling up guys who have been running their own shop for 15 years now, and there's Eric Kuzno in Fairbanks, does Windy Creek surveys, and he was super excited when I was going to go out on my own. He's like, this is great because now we can work with each other and help and whatnot, but he's been doing it for 15, 20 years. Yeah. So he's a mentor in a way. And then
that's great.
Kevin Eichens is another one that I met when I was at Dowell, who continues to keep in touch with me. In fact, he texted me earlier today. I get a text from him every couple weeks. Good morning, John. How you doing? And
that's nice.
So the continuation of mentorship has been great. And honestly, you learn stuff from everyone. There was a party chief that I was recently licensed that I went and worked with in a Juneau office for a company I was working for at the time that taught me some really great things. So I try to learn wherever I go, and I can't say enough about all the different surveyors I've worked under. Stan Ponsness at Dowell, Willie Stoll at Dowell, Craig Ranson and Dennis Bogren at PDC Engineers, which is now Respec. All great guys that I worked under. And then my most recent Alaskan mentor was Dean Simiotti at Stantec, who taught me how to manage people and projects.
That's an art.
It's very different than actually doing the work. And how do you be a logistics guy? How do you be a professional land surveyor? How do you process? How do you use GPS? How do you use CAD? And speaking of CAD, Mike Davis at Dowell, great drafter, taught me everything I know. He's not a licensed surveyor. He should be. He's so good at what he did. And then Dean Simiotti turned me the other direction and said, this is how you work with people.
Sure.
This is how you work with engineers and get things done as a manager. Here's how you work with your staff and how you treat people, and just fantastic mentors across the board.
So have you been able to take those experiences with those mentors? Have you been able to be a mentor yourself to some yet?
I have. I've done my best to do so in whatever capacity I can. When I was at Stantec, a younger fellow named Sam Phillips, I was the last year of his licensure needs under our state statutes as his LSIT. I don't really feel like I taught him a whole lot because he was so far along and had some great mentors already, but he still needed my signature to get his PLS, which was kind of cool.
That is cool.
And then I recently spent the winter in Tennessee and Kentucky and worked for a firm there, and there were some great younger guys who were technicians that I got to work with and try and bring up. And now as a business owner, running my own shop, I get my kids out, and that's been fun. I've got some drafters that I contract with, and I've got these drafters who I will get my stuff back, and then I'll do my changes, and I'll send them back what the final product is, and I'll get these questions come back and say, how'd you do that? Can you show me how you do these things?
Yeah.
And so I try to take the time to be able to do so, because they're also teaching me things that they don't.
Exactly.
It's a give-take thing.
Yeah, to me, that's the whole illusion of mentor-mentee, that
Right.
it depends on what question's being asked from which side. It
Yeah.
works both ways.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Well, trying to be cognizant of your time as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Yeah.
My last question.
Sure.
How does the future of surveying look to you? I mean, you're in Alaska, you're busier than all get out. Thank you for taking time to come down here, but
Yeah.
how are we doing? What's the future look like for surveying?
I think it's positive. And being here at the NSPS fall meeting, it's just my expectations went through the roof of what the future looks like. Everybody here is doing some fantastic work. We've got a long ways to go in Alaska in certain ways, and there's some darker spots on our horizon, but we have folks who are really committed, who are really trying to put in the work outside of their business hours. These are all volunteer hours that people are really pushing into. Excuse me, I serve on various capacities within the state of Alaska in my local chapter, and I see it's positive. I've seen, even in my short time of being more active on social media, the more recognition that people have of what land surveying is, and then starting my own business and starting to understand how the public views us in a different way than when you're in design,
Sure.
and when you're in industry, where people are adjacent more versus people, once in their lifetime, twice in their lifetime, they need a surveyor.
Sure.
And I would say overall it's positive.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. What social? I mean, I follow you on LinkedIn. What social channels are you on so people can log on and follow you? A
Yeah.
little bit of everything.
No, not a whole lot. I don't have a lot of time, and
Wow.
recently, in the past year, with a lot of transition, I've even scaled back more on my social presence. LinkedIn was my primary and only for a while.
Okay.
Now that I run my own business, I've transitioned to more of managing my company Facebook page.
Sure.
And then LinkedIn kind of takes a second
All
backseat
right.
to that. And so that's it. That's all I'm on right now.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope you keep posting because, like I said, you caught my eye several years ago and
Yep.
have loved everything that you've shared with our community and the
Yep.
world, because it's fascinating, it's beautiful, it's just been really impressive, and so
I appreciate it.
it's been impressive to meet you, and thank your wife and family for letting us have you for a couple of days and
Yeah.
taking this all in. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim, for having me.
You bet. Well, that'll wrap it up for this episode of Surveyor Says. Wherever you listen to the podcast, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. You've been listening to Surveyor Says, the NSPS Podcast, brought to you by the National Society of Professional Surveyors. If you have any questions about today's episode or any other topic, please email us at info@nsps.us.com, as we are here to help. Subscribe to the podcast on most of your favorite streaming platforms, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. For more information about the podcast and NSPS, please visit our website, nsps.us.com. And remember, it's a great day to be a surveyor.